Ever wonder how some people seem to get all the media coverage, but you don't? Go behind the scenes with a TV reporter, national on-air host, and news contributor who has interviewed celebrities, took you inside the Versace mansion, and even stood on a chair to interview basketball legend Alonzo Mourning. Get ready, because Become a Media Maven is the podcast where Christina Nicholson is sharing secrets from her years in front of the camera, in the editing booth, and now behind the podcast mic.
Welcome to the Become a Media Maven podcast. It's been a while. I took a couple of weeks off, not because I was planning to, I just got kind of busy with different things. I took some time off to go to Niagara-on-the-Lake in Toronto, Canada. My friend Lisa, who has been on the podcast before, was getting married. It's funny because I met her in a Facebook group, and the Facebook group was for the very first online course that I bought about 6 years ago, and we connected and we became friends. We chat on Skype every Friday, and I've met her in person only one other time, and it was when her business coach's business coach was coming to Orlando for an event, and I was like, oh, well, that's, just like a 3-hour drive, so I'll meet you there. And then I ended up hiring that person as my very first business coach. And then the second time I saw her, years later, just last month, for her wedding. So it's kind of funny how that stuff works out. And then I've been busy with business coaching. And I will talk more about this at the end of the podcast, just because I kind of want to get into the topic today. 5 simple steps to get featured in the media without spending a dime. But things are kind of shifting a little bit in my business. What I thought was a goal, or what was a goal, has been put on the back burner again. And I have an old goal coming to the forefront again because I'm working with one business coach, and then I also joined another mastermind because I can't help myself. Again, I can give you more specifics at the end of the podcast. And if you want to know more, then hey, reach out, let me know. The best place to find me is probably on Instagram at Christina All Day, and I will answer any questions you may have about coaching and whatnot and masterminds and all of the things. But the purpose of this episode is to share 5 simple steps to get featured in the media without spending a dime. And I wanted to bring this back up because another thing that I recently did was I spoke at an event in Tampa. So if you weren't following along on Instagram a couple of weekends ago when I did this, I was at Amplify, put on by Vanessa Charles. Again, somebody that I met through the business coaching space. Actually, the guy who sold me my very first business coaching program was there. He also spoke at Amplify. And I did this talk with people, and people loved it. A lot of people ended up following me into the media mentoring program after they heard me speak at that event. And I'm going to kind of put a twist on the talk, do something very similar to what I've done before, but a little different. And I am doing that. It's going to be a live masterclass this Thursday, October 14th at 11 a.m. So if you do want to join me, just visit earnmedianow.com and you can sign up for that. I am going to be sharing things you've never heard before. I'm going to be talking about things that publicists don't want you to know, PR agencies don't want you to know. And I do all of this, remember, because I was on the other side as a TV reporter and anchor. So I know the silly tricks they're trying to play, and I just kind of pull back the curtain on both my experience as somebody working in the media and my experience as a PR agency owner. So I'm going to be doing that again this Thursday, October 14th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. If you can't make it, sign up anyway, because I will be sending out a replay, and you can sign up for that at earnmedianow.com. I'm also going to link to it in the show notes of this episode. So if you're driving, if you're working out, if you're running, if you're walking, whatever you're doing, I will link to it in the show notes of this episode. So just make sure you check those out. Okay. So in that talk, in that masterclass, it's going to be super interactive. I want you to be in the comments. I want you to be telling me what you do, what you want to get exposure for, and I'm just going to give you ideas right there. So think of it as /educational/ live coaching. So come with questions, and I'm excited to see you there. But before we get into those 5 simple steps to get featured in the media without spending a dime, I want to make sure you're ready for PR. And a lot of people say, oh, I'm not ready for this reason, the other reason, blah, 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 blah. Like so many people make excuses on why they're not ready. Well, I'm going to go through 5. That's the magic number. Today is 5. I'm going to go through 5 questions to consider to determine if you're ready for PR. The first one, and this is a big one, this is one I go through with a lot of clients, is, are your expectations realistic? And you may not know if they're realistic or not. Ask me, I'll tell you. But let me tell you, if you've never done any PR for your business, to think that you are going to get the cover of the Wall Street Journal in a week or two, or front and center CNN, or, the featured article in Forbes, you need to reset your expectations, because it just doesn't work like that. You have to start small and work your way up. And I know that's not a sexy thing to say. And I know a lot of people who are selling you into different PR programs, or lots of publicists, they want to say this because it sounds good and it'll sell you. Can it happen? Yes. Is it rare? Very. I have gotten clients big time coverage straight out of the gate. It can happen, but it's very rare. It's like creating a video and that video going viral. Can it happen? Yes, but it's very rare. And when it does happen, it's luck 9 times out of 10, especially if you are starting out. It's not like advertising. When you advertise, and we've talked about this a lot before, when you advertise, you are paying somebody money in exchange for that advertisement, so they can guarantee where you're going to be. But as we have discussed, advertising does not fall like earned media does. It just hits a different way, and that is because people know you're paying to be there. You're not going to get that credibility. You're not going to get that authority. People aren't paying attention to advertisements. They're paying attention to the actual content. So just know that PR is not magic. These are things that take time. These are things that take a lot of strategy. And it does open the door to a lot of opportunities. You just need to know what to do. So have those expectations. That's number 1. Number 2 is, can you let go of control? This is something that a lot of people have problems with because, again, if you are not paying for an advertisement, you do not control the message. A lot of people say, well, I want the reporter to say this, and I want them to write this, and I want them to describe us like this. Well, that's great. And you can tell the reporter or the podcast host or the booker or the journalist or whoever, all of that stuff, but they're going to take it with a grain of salt because it's not their job to promote you the way you want to be promoted. It's their job to tell a story. And you do not tell them how to tell that story. You are just there for them to help them do their job. And then by default, you get that promotion. You get that visibility. So just be prepared to let go of control, because the story will not always be exactly the way you want. They will not always say exactly what you want them to say. So you have to just understand that those are some risks. I can give you a specific example with a recent client of mine. My client is Midas. I don't know where you are in the world listening to this, but Midas is a place like Tire Kingdom, like NTB, like Big O Tires. It is a car care spot, all right? That's where you go to get tires and everything else for your car. And they used to, back in the day, be known as Midas Muffler, because they were a lot smaller than what they are now. And recently we earned them coverage, and they've been wanting to get away from the Midas Muffler brand for quite some time, and they have. They've totally rebranded years and years ago. But in this story, the journalist referred to them as Midas Muffler or a local muffler shop, something like that. And they weren't thrilled about it because they've been trying to get away from that for so long. However, they understood, because they're not new to this, they understood that we didn't say that. We didn't use, a muffler shop in our pitch. We don't talk like that. They don't talk like that, but that's the way the journalist and the reporter wanted to refer to them as. We can't go back and tell them to change it because it's not inaccurate. It's just not the way they refer to themselves. So that's an example of you having to let go of control, because you cannot control the coverage when you're earning it. Number 3, this is a big one. You have to be able to embrace opportunities when they come. And let me tell you, if somebody wants to talk to you and they are in the media and they're going to give you coverage, you need to be willing to drop everything you're doing right then and there and give them what they want. That is because reporters, journalists, bookers, whoever, They work on tight deadlines. I remember once I was going in for work and somebody sent me an email and I was like, okay, great. Let me get back to them. Tell them we'll do the story. And I told them, yeah, we'll come out. We'll be there in like half an hour. And they're like, no, we're not ready. We need to set this up for next week. And I'm like, I can't do it next week. Like, I came in this morning at work at 9:30. I have to have a story done to put on air by 5 o'clock. That's when the news starts. And they were not ready. So they lost the coverage. I had to move on to a different story because they weren't willing to work with me. They just weren't ready. So you just have to be ready to give a quote, give a soundbite, give a quick interview, pass along video, pass along images. Whatever somebody needs to get you that coverage, you need to be willing to do it. Hand everything over on a silver platter. And if you're not ready for that, then you're not ready for PR. But if you want more clients, if you want more customers, you got to be ready. Number 4, can you overcome the fear? Now, there's a couple of fears that people have. One is the stage fright. You're afraid of doing a TV interview. You're afraid of what you're going to say, how you're going to come across, all of that. You're just basically afraid to put yourself out there. You're afraid of what they're going to say. You're afraid of how it's going to turn out. That's just something you have to get over. And you can get over that with practice. The more coverage you earn, the easier it is. And you just kind of get used to it. And it's just part of your marketing game. Now, the other fear, which is silly because a lot of people, they want, media exposure because they want other people to know about them so they get customers or clients. But then some people are like, well, we want customers and clients to know about us, but we don't want our competition to see. And I've worked with clients before where they're like, well, we want you to say this and we want people to know this, but we don't want our competition to see because we don't want our competition to copy us. And it's like, look, I can't control who sees what, who listens to what, who watches what. Like, you can't be afraid. You got to put yourself out there. And if you are a business owner, hopefully you have learned by this point. If not, you will soon. That if you don't put yourself out there, you're not going to grow. Not everybody's going to love you. They say when you start to have haters, that means you've made it because you're getting in front of enough people. So you just have to get over your fear of somebody saying something bad about you or somebody sharing information that is wrong or isn't written in a way that you wanted it to be written, like Midas Muffler, for example. So you just want to make sure like you're all in. Shit's going to happen, but you're going to be okay with it because when shit happens, it's on to the next. And finally, the last question that you want to ask yourself, and this is a question that I get a lot of times from people is, am I ready? Am I ready for this? And this is something that a lot of, I don't want to say beginners, but a lot of people earlier in their business ask themselves, especially women. Men have a confidence that exceeds their ability, and for women, it's the opposite. Their ability exceeds their confidence, and they never think that they're ready for PR. Well, I need more money. I need a bigger brand. I need more clients. I need more customers. This is the thing. To get customers or clients, you need exposure. That's how you get customers or clients. That's how I have grown my business, by doing PR on myself, by treating myself as a client. Almost every single client I've ever had has come to me because they have seen me promoting something somewhere. So when you ask yourself if you're ready, the big thing you have to ask is, am I ready for a new client? Am I ready for a new customer? And if the answer is yes, how do you get them? Do you want to send people to your website? Okay, is your website updated? Is it ready to convert? Because you don't want to get coverage and have it be wasted because your website's not ready to convert. So make sure your website's ready to convert. Do you have a local brick and mortar store? If the answer is yes, are you ready to let people walk through the door and buy something? If not, do you have some sort of a waiting list? Can people get on your email list? Do you have an opt-in? Do you have a landing page where they can get on your email list? Are you active on social media? That's a big one, because a lot of times before people in the journalism industry will decide if they're going to speak with you, or maybe if they're going back and forth between you and a competitor, they're going to say, oh, well, let me look this person up on LinkedIn. Are you active on LinkedIn? Are you posting about your industry? Are you active on Twitter? You don't have to be in all the places, but be in one or two and put that in your email signature. and let people know, hey, I'm here, I'm active on social media. I mean, if you haven't posted on any social media in months, then the journalist or the booker or the podcast host is going to say, well, is this person relevant? Is this person really an expert? Because if you're not posting your expertise anywhere, whether it be your website or any social media channels, then some people are going to kind of wonder like, well, what's going on here? Like, who is this person? Like, I don't know anything about them because they have no online footprint. So you have to help them find you. You have to help them know you're legit, and that's a way to do it. Just make sure you appear ready for the coverage, and you appear ready, and you are ready for the influx of customers or clients that could come from that media exposure. So those are 5 questions you need to consider to determine if you're ready for PR. And I want to remind you, I mean, there's a whole lot more where that came from. So join me Thursday, October 14th at 11 a.m. Again, if you cannot make it live, sign up anyway at earnmedianow.com because I will be sending out a replay. And I am sharing stuff that I've never shared before. I'm sharing like screen grabs in my media mentoring Facebook group. So if you're not in there, I'm going to give you a behind the scenes peek at what it's like in there, some of the things I share. I'm sharing an example of how I got Amy Porterfield on CNN. This was her very first TV appearance, live TV appearance. I'm going to tell you how I did that. I'm going to tell you how I got a client on the Today Show. I'm going to tell you how I got a client on Rachel Ray. Like, I'm sharing so many specific examples of how I have gotten clients coverage in a variety of places, and then what happened after they earned coverage. So again, you are not going to want to miss that. Go to earnmedianow.com. It is happening Thursday, October 14th. And if you do happen to be listening to this podcast after that date, go to earnmedianow.com anyway, because like I said, I will have a replay. Okay, do you want to hear about my business coaching? Let me tell you. So if you follow me on Instagram, you know I read lots of books. And a book that I recently read was called We Should All Be Millionaires by Rachel Rodgers. And I fell like in love with this woman. And then I started listening to her podcast, and I started following her on social media, and I joined her email list. And then of course, right after I joined her email list, she's like, join me for this mastermind. And I'm like, oh God, Rachel Rodgers, I've got so many other things going on. I can't. But then I saw how much it was. It is $3,000 for an entire year. And I'm like, okay, I'm in. That's like a no-brainer. $3,000 for an entire year. Let me bust out my calculator and tell you what that is per month. It's $250 a month, people. Like, that's just stupid money for this mastermind. So I joined this mastermind not even knowing what's included. So let me tell you what's included. You get a whole bunch of online courses, and something she does that I like. I'm not an affiliate for this, by the way. I'm just telling you. Something about it that I like is that she has her company's called Hello 7, like Hello 7 Figures. And she has H1, H2, H3, goes all the way to H7. And it depends on where you are in your business as far as how much money you're bringing in. Like, you go into a specific spot. And when you're in that spot, you take this course that tells you what to do. So she has that. She has lots of other online resources. It comes with a Facebook group for members only. And then there's lots of weekly calls. So there's one called Money Church, which is kind of funny. There's like growth strategy. There's business strategy. There's lots of a variety of different calls. I'm new to it. I just started. I'm like a few weeks in, so I can't give you too many details. The one thing that I have noticed that I'm not thrilled about, but I kind of understand because people, this is $3,000 for an entire year, is that you don't really see Rachel or hear from Rachel, which I expected because it's such a low price point. She will pop in the Facebook group here and there, and she does have team members who run things, and you get her, through her online coaching programs. But so that's one thing that I'm doing. So that's how I'm filling my time, my education, getting smarter. I'm still going through Jim Quick's stuff. I think I told you, if it wasn't here on the podcast, then it was on Instagram. I don't know where I'm talking to who anymore. On Instagram, I, again, listened to Jim Quick's book, Limitless. It's all about like how you learn and how you remember, not just learning, but like how to learn, how to focus, how to remember things. So I became obsessed with everything he was saying and bought all of his courses too. And those are also inexpensive, like a couple $100 a course. So I bought those, going through those, and then the bigger investment is Influence to Empire with Christina Galbato. And it's funny because I joined this mastermind, and this is a bigger investment. This is over $1,000 a month for coaching with her and her team. And it's fantastic because she's got team members niched in funnels. She's got a team member niched in mindset. She's got a team member niched in branding and content. And then you have her. And so it's about a call a week. I mean, there's 4 different calls. We're all in a Slack group together. So a lot less people than, we should all be millionaires. So a lot more high touch, a lot more intimate. And it's funny because I joined Influence to Empire with Christina, who was a guest on the podcast a few weeks ago. I joined because I was like, and I've told you this, I want to build Christina all day. I want to build my lifestyle blog. I want to get enough traffic to it to turn some ads on and make money off of those ads. So that's why I joined. And then we're talking and she's like, no, I think you should build your online course instead. Talking about the media mentoring program. And I'm like, well, I tried that a few years ago and I just got turned off by the online business industry and just how people in online business act and the bullshit ads they put out and the lies of it all. And this, I just don't like it. I just think it's shady and it's like these people are thirsty and the whole thing. And she was like, but look, you can help people. You have all of this content. You have all of this knowledge. And then I was like, okay, you know what? You're right. Like a lot of people, they give me such good feedback from the media mentoring program. And I don't have to mess with that online shit. Like I can just worry about myself. I don't have to worry about getting affiliates and teaming up with these other people with bigger audiences. Like I'm not trying to be an Amy Porterfield or a Pat Flynn. I mean, what they do is amazing. But I think they are so far ahead of me. I can't make that comparison when it comes to the online course industry. But I'm working with her on it. So the online course, I mean, it's there. I've been updating it for everybody who joins, but I haven't been promoting it. I haven't been promoting it at all for years. I don't do launches. I talk about it when people aren't a fit for my agency and they have a smaller budget. I say, hey, this is another option. But I'm going to start talking about it a little bit more. And I'm going to be promoting it. And I'm going to start running Facebook ads. Maybe you've seen them. If you have any tips on Facebook ads, let me know. They're not my favorite thing. So I think I'm going to hire somebody to take that off my plate. I have never had a good experience, though, hiring somebody to handle Facebook ads for me. I've just kind of thrown my money away. So I'm all ears on that front, people. Let me know what you're doing that's working. So yeah, that is the update on the business coaching front. So again, if you have any more questions or you want to know anything, just ask. Hit me up on Instagram at Christina All Day. But if you do want to come to my masterclass, 5 simple steps to get featured in the media without spending a dime, and you want to hear the nitty-gritty of basically everything, come ask whatever you want. You know I'm an open book. Just visit earnmedianow.com. Again, all this information will be in the show notes for this episode. And thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be back, and I'm happy you're back listening.